Cyclone MMA.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Mason from Cyclone MMA, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be predicting the future champions in each and every division in the UFC. These are the people that I think are going to be champions next. And remember, as always, these aren't my opinions. These are facts. So if you disagree with my facts, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Be as nasty and rude as possible. I always appreciate that very much. But without any further ado, let's get right into this list. Starting off with men's flyweight, we got the current champion Deiveson Figueiredo, a guy who will submit you, a guy who will knock you out, and a guy who probably will be facing Brandon Moreno once again. A lot of people, I think, will choose Brandon Moreno to be the next champion of the flyweight division. I'm going to go ahead and go with Askar Askarov. He is someone who has fought Brandon Moreno, went to a draw. A lot of people had Moreno winning that fight, but I just don't see Moreno beating Figueiredo after what I saw last fight. I thought he did a really good job with him, and I think he has a solid chance. But I think Figgy's going to get that W, and I think he's going to wait a little bit before losing. Askarov right now is the third ranked. I think, if he gets past Joseph Benavidez, he has a good shot at beating Figueiredo. So that's my choice. But to be honest, I could see Figueiredo being in the championship spot for years to come. He is a very good talent. Next, we have the men's bantamweight division, and this one's so easy. The next champion of the bantamweight division is Sean O'Malley. No. Okay, the next champion of the bantamweight division is Corey Sandhagen. A lot of people are going to pick Aljo. Bantamweight is a deep division at this point. It kind of is sneaky deep. You got TJ Dillashaw coming back. Rob Font had a solid victory not too long ago. His boxing's crazy good. Petr Yan isn't really getting the respect that he deserves as champion. A few big wins, I think he'll gain it right back. But I see Corey Sandhagen being the dark horse of this division. His striking is next level, and I know he had that quick loss to Aljo. But I think if they run that fight back a couple times, I think Sandhagen can get a win if he's not in that position. Aljamain Sterling certainly has a good chance against Petr Yan, but I think Petr Yan is going to be able to neutralize Aljo's ground game and get the win on the feet, whether that be a decision or a TKO KO victory. So I'm going with Sandhagen. There's a lot of good choices here. TJ Dillashaw coming back is also, another dark horse who's a really good talent, as everyone knows, and certainly can, get back onto the throne and get that belt back. Again, featherweight. We got Volkanovski as the champ. This is another division where it's really hard to choose because it's so damn deep. I had someone in the comment section on one of my videos saying that featherweight wasn't a deep division. I don't know what you're looking at, but this is a deep division. A lot of people, I think, will say someone like Zabit Magomedsharipov. Volkanovski's set to fight Brian Ortega. I don't know if it's official, but that's likely going to happen. I don't see Ortega beating Volkanovski. Again, Volkanovski's one of those champions that just isn't getting the respect he deserves, and I think that's in large part due to the fact that, Max Holloway, in my opinion, and in many others' opinions, I think that Max Holloway won that fight. I think he won that second fight. Volkanovski definitely won the first one, and that's my pick on the future champion. I think Max Holloway, after his last performance against Calvin Kattar and how amazing he was, that was his best performance in my eyes. I think Max Holloway's just getting better, and I think he can beat Volkanovski and get the belt back. Of course, that is if Volkanovski has the belt after the Ortega fight. So that's my pick for the future champion of the featherweight division. Lightweight is in a really weird situation right now. We have Dana White really wanting Khabib to fight. He really wants Conor McGregor to come back, beat Dustin Poirier, and then fight Khabib. I don't think Khabib's going to fight again, so I'm going to just say there isn't a champion. Let's say that Khabib vacates. I know he hasn't vacated yet, but I don't see him, fighting again personally. I think the future champion of this division, and I've said it before in the past, Charles Oliveira. He's just so well-rounded. On the feet, he's gotten a lot better. I know that's an issue that he's seen in the past. All of his losses were because of, him on the feet for the most part. but him on the ground he's a nightmare. His jiu-jitsu's next level. And I know people are going to say Tony's washed up and whatever, but he beat a really good Kevin Lee, and then he beat Tony Ferguson, and he did so decisively both times. And I see him right up there with all the other lightweights. And there's a lot of answers for this one. There's Dustin Poirier, who could be the champion. There's Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje. But I think that Charlie Olives is right in the mix, and I think he's well-rounded enough to get it done. So that's my pick. Of course, I could be very wrong, and I'm sure a lot of you will point that out in the comments. Pause this video and give me your personal picks on who you think will be the future champion in all of these divisions. I'm really curious what you guys have to say, and I'm curious how close some of you are to my personal list. Just something that I think it would be interesting. Next, we have the welterweight division, and Kamaru Usman is the champion. He recently defended his belt against Gilbert Burns. Kamaru's starting to get the respect he deserves. He is a crazy talented dude, but unfortunately, due to his wrestling style, people think he's boring. I even did a video talking about him being slightly boring, but it's okay because it's a sport, and the goal of a sport is to win, and he's damn good at winning. And by the way, his last couple fights have been really good. Well, not the Masvidal. The Masvidal fight was terribly boring, but the Burns fight was really entertaining, and the Colby fight was really entertaining, and that is who I actually think is going to be the future champion, Colby Covington. I don't love the guy, but we can't deny he's super, super talented. And I see Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington fighting 10 times, and I see them each winning 5 times. They're both just crazy good. They have gas tanks for days, amazing cardio. Their striking is like good, but nothing incredibly special. Kamaru Usman has a lot of power behind the jab. Colby Covington's kind of just he's not knocking people out, but he's touching them and moving and not really getting hit, and he's able to just utilize his cardio to make his striking work. Obviously, we know about their wrestling, but I think Colby Covington, we saw him perform really well against Kamaru Usman, won some rounds against him, and it was just a close fight. Obviously, Kamaru Usman broke Colby's jaw and was able to finish him. I think a second fight might go different, might be the same. Who knows? It's a fight. That's why they fight. These aren't predetermined things, but that's my pick for the welterweight division. Colby Covington, future champion. A lot of people will love it. A lot of people will hate it, but those are my thoughts. Middleweight is another one that's interesting. You got Israel Adesanya as the champion, and he is like crazy good. Say what you want about the guy. You love him, you hate him. He is insanely good. His striking is next level. If he just keeps winning, he's going to be the GOAT. Just because the resume he's built already is incredible, and now he's going up in weight to fight Jan Blachowicz. The future of this division, I think, will be with Robert Whittaker. And I just think it's Izzy number 1, below him is Robert Whittaker, and then below him is everyone else. And I think that Whittaker's a couple steps ahead of everyone else, and then Izzy's a couple steps ahead of Robert Whittaker. And I think that once Izzy, let's say he wins at light heavyweight, he's not going to want to cut down to 185. He's probably going to stick there for a little bit. He's finished a lot of people at welterweight. Middleweight. He's won a lot of fights there. Not a lot of names to, really go back and get him excited. There are those names at light heavyweight that he hasn't faced yet. So I think he'll probably vacate the title eventually, and I think Whittaker will win. I don't think Whittaker beats Israel Adesanya in a rematch, even though that really pains me to say. But yeah, we kind of talked about light heavyweight a little bit. The current champion is Jan Blachowicz. He is set to fight Israel Adesanya, and I'm going to go ahead and pick Izzy to win that fight. I think Izzy is the next champion of the light heavyweight division. Let's say Jan wins. I'll give a couple other options. I think Alexander Rakic is a very good option, and I think Yuri Prochazka is another one who's just like, we kind of forget about him, but his fight against Volkan Oezdemir just proved that he's elite, and he's a guy who's still new to the UFC. He's only had one UFC fight, and he's already in the mix of the best light heavyweights on the planet. So I'm excited to see what that guy has in store for us next. Now we got the big boys, the heavyweights. Recently we saw Derek Lewis beating Curtis Blades via vicious knockout. Got the uppercut and then the boom, boom on the ground. And a lot of people are upset about that. But I don't know why I'm talking about that. Because Stipe, my boy, is the champion. Stipe, the firefighter from Ohio. Stipe, the guy who is Croatian somehow. Maybe as a mom from Croatia. I don't know. Stipe is my guy. I love Stipe. Stipe is going to get smashed by Francis Ngannou. And that's an unpopular opinion among MMA fans. And I'm going to make a video about this eventually, but I just see Francis winning. And even if Francis loses to Stipe again, let's say Stipe retires after getting a few more wins. Who do you see being the next champion? Francis is going to get there eventually, right? Anyone you put in front of him, other than Stipe, he smashes. And of course, there was that Derek Lewis weird fight. But I think if they rematch, I think most people would say Francis wins that fight. It's just, I think Francis wins. And it's not even a skill thing. It's more of just like his hands are made of like steel, but like steel on fire that also has like mercury. So he'll like hit you and you just kind of explode and die. Yeah, not some, Luke Thomas or like the Weasel, MMA analysis right there. Just kind of going with my casual vibes and picking Francis Ngannou. I think I have a good shot at being right, though. Another good option would probably be John Jones, but I think Francis smashes that guy too. Now we're going to move on to the women's divisions, and these ones are kind of hard for me just because like the champions I feel like are a step above the competition. And I know obviously the champions are going to be a step above, but it's a different thing for these female divisions. But strawweight's a little easier. You got Weili Zhang as the champion. She had a crazy fight with Joanna her last time in the octagon. I think she'll probably fight Rose Namajunas next, and I think that's the person I would choose to beat her. A dark horse is also Marina Rodriguez, who recently beat Amanda Ribas. Rodriguez has some really, really good striking, but so does Weili Zhang, and Weili Zhang's got some power too. I think Thug Rose can get it done. I think she's really, really good, and I know you shouldn't go off of MMA math, but you have Joanna and Weili having a super close fight, and then you have Joanna and Rose beat her both times and was able to finish her one of those 2 times. So I'm going to use MMA math to make my decision just because I don't really have anything else to go off of. I don't think anyone else really has a chance of beating Weili Zhang in that division, but I'm going to go with Rose because Thug Rose is pretty dope. Now for women's flyweight, we got Valentina Shevchenko as the champion. And Valentina Shevchenko and Amanda Nunes are just these 2 people way up high on the list of, female fighters. And then like 3rd place is just so much further down, if that makes any sense. In terms of skill level and pure talent, Valentina Shevchenko and Amanda Nunes are on a different level. And I think the only person right now to beat either of them is them. Did that make sense grammatically? I think you guys get what I mean. So I'm going to throw a bullshit answer your way. Jessica Andrade. I mean, she's got a puncher's chance. I think that's the next fight for Shevchenko. So Andrade, future champion. If Andrade can't get it done, I think Shevchenko just retires. I don't see anyone in the top 15 being Shevchenko. I think she retires, and then it's too hard to predict who will become champion after that. Moving on to women's bantamweight, we got Amanda Nunes as the champion. Again, it's one of those situations where she's murdered everyone, okay? And she's fighting Megan Anderson next, which I want to say is a featherweight fight. I'm pretty sure that's a 145 fight. Could be wrong. Pretty sure I'm not. The future champion of bantamweight. Not confident about this one at all. Valentina Shevchenko. They fight a 3rd time down the road. I think Shevchenko has a really, really good chance of beating her. That's not to say that Shevchenko's the better fighter. I think they're freaking close. I mean, other sports, like teams will beat teams, and then those teams that lost will beat the teams that they lost to. What is English? I mean, when we're talking about other sports, you might have Team A and Team B. On any given night, Team A can beat Team B and Team B can beat Team A. I think that's the same thing with fighting. A lot of times we have to put categories on people and say this person is this much better than this person, when in reality, if they fought 10 times, one person might win 5 times while the other one might also win 5 times. I think that's the situation with Shevchenko and Nunes. It's too bad that there's like the titles of GOAT and everything, and we have to like put numbers on people and say who's awesome. It's kind of weird that we do that, but humans just really like categorizing stuff I think Shevchenko can beat Nunes. I think a lot of you will agree with me, but I also think that Nunes can beat Shevchenko because she has twice. Whew, that was a mouthful. Finally, we got women's featherweight. As you guys all know, Amanda Nunes is the featherweight champion. No one else will be featherweight champion in the UFC. That is my bold prediction. I think they'll probably get rid of it. They don't have rankings for featherweight. They just kind of throw someone at Amanda Nunes every once in a while, and then Nunes will beat them. I think they're going to do away with it unless they can get someone like a Kayla Harrison to rejuvenate that division. Chris Cyborg was that person, but she's gone now. So they're going to need a big name to save it, or else it's going to go away. All right, everyone, that is my list for the future UFC champions, the next one after the current champion. What is your list? I'm really curious what you guys have to say, and I'm curious if anyone agrees with me fully. I doubt it. I really doubt it because I have some kind of weird choices. I acknowledge that. But yeah, let me know your list down below. That's all I got for you today, and I will see you all in the next video.
Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson.
Amanda. Duh.
Next, we got Artem Lobov. We're going to stick him right up at S tier. Just kidding.